Okay, so let's look at some Makgeolli. I did a review on this one before, but I just thought I'd bring it out again because I do like this one. It's in a can, it's really small, it's not my favorite size, but if you want something you can throw in your backpack and it's not going to take up much space, or whatever the reason might be, or you're already really drunk, you just want something little to sip on, and you don't want something non-alcoholic for whatever reason. You just want something with alcohol in it, but you don't want anything big. This is a good one because it's small. It's I think it's 6% alcohol, so it's not like it's really low alcohol. Yeah, it's 6% alcohol, but it's so small. It's not a big deal. It's just like having a regular beer then, basically. So this is 240 milliliters instead of 360. So it's almost actually, yeah, it's 120 milliliters less than a regular 12-ounce can. I believe a 12-ounce can is 360 milliliters. You can obviously Google that. I didn't Google that as I was doing this, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Okay, now this one, in my opinion, is basically the same as this, taste-wise. Obviously, this label here and this label here are the same, but this is different. This is different. This one says Sal. This one says Ooh. Oh no, it's that kind of Korean writing that's hard to read. It's like calligraphy. It's not straight lines, and some of them are blending together. But it's Ul Gook Sang, Gook Sang, something like that. Gook Sang, something like that. Gook Sang. This one's Sal. But these two taste basically the same for the most part. For one thing, obviously this one's a can, this one's a bottle, so they could taste a little different. And then whatever this means, that's the only difference I can see with these two cans. They're both 6% alcohol. Obviously this one's a lot more. This one's a better deal per ounce. This one's not an awesome deal, but if you're looking for something small or looking for something in a can for whatever reason. Okay, so I did open this one already. I started drinking it, and then after I started drinking, I was like, oh yeah, I can make a review on this one. So this one, it's not my favorite. It's not terrible. Oh yeah, I always shake it up because there's sediment at the bottom. For one thing, I figure at restaurants and when you drink with old Koreans, they always have it mixed up. It's not just the clear on the top, they have it mixed up. This one just has a weird taste to it. It kind of has like a grass taste to it. Almost like a wheatgrass taste to it. It has a picture on it showing the kind of grain of rice that they used. They have a picture explaining what the different levels are, like the sediment on the bottom, the clear makgeolli, and some space on the top. I didn't translate that. I could, but I'm not that worried about it. Now that I look at the picture again, I'm interested, and now I kind of want to translate it. I might translate it and post that along with this video in a picture form. Okay, so I don't have really high hopes for this one. It's just a little bit different makgeolli. Honestly, I like this makgeolli enough that when I get other makgeolli, I never know what I'm going to get. I never know if I'm going to like it as much. I'm usually happy with the makgeolli I get, but if I want something safe, something I know that I like, I always try to get this. But they don't always have this depending on what convenience store you go to or what grocery store. So this one is like a chestnut makgeolli or something like that. And it's kind of hard to see, but you can see this is dark, like eggshell color. This is a light, more transparent. Got yellowish eggshell color. But then if I hold it upside down, you can see this is starting to slowly ooze down. That's the salads in the bottom that I was talking about. Shake it up, shake it up. Hopefully it doesn't explode right over my laptop. You can see now the whole thing is pretty dark eggshell color. And it is carbonated, whether it's natural carbonation or artificial. If it isn't natural, it definitely could be, because there's supposed to be live bacteria in this, and there's still some yeast, and I don't know how much sugar, but I'm assuming there's still some sugar in there, because that's how you make alcohol. The yeast eats the sugar, creates alcohol, and when it can't go anywhere, like if there's yeast in here and sugar, like live yeast and sugar, the yeast will eat the sugar, create alcohol, and that process creates a gas. And if it can't go anywhere, it's trapped in a container, it creates pressure, and the more pressure it creates, more carbonation, and yeah, that's how natural carbonation happens. If it's unnatural carbonation, they have to inject some kind of gas in there to carbonate it, which isn't bad. It's just not natural. So I kind of like doing it the natural way. Like when I brew beer, when you brew beer, it's very similar to making makgeolli, because they're both a grain, and you can use wine yeast with both beer and makgeolli. Wine yeast doesn't make wine. So if you have beer that was made with a wine yeast, it's still beer. If you have makgeolli, you made it with a wine yeast, it's still a rice beer, not a rice wine. Unless if you put some kind of fruit in here or did something else. I mean, if it's just grain, yeast, sugar. I mean, the sugar's from the grain, unless they added a little more, because maybe there wasn't enough in the grain for whatever reason. And then the thing is that they might have added other things to make it closer to a rice wine, which rice wine just doesn't sound right, because you don't make wine out of a grain. Or at least not traditionally, not normally, not by definition. Not that I'm an expert with it, but I've made beer, I've made wine, I've made cider, I've made mead. Oh, okay, this is good. And I'm not surprised because it has a picture on here, but it does have a nutty flavor. This one tastes like it would be more filling. Yeah, it's really good. It kind of has like a vanilla flavor to it. Not like a really strong vanilla. Like a vanilla in the throat, like aftertaste in the mouth. What's the alcohol percentage? It's 6% alcohol as well. Sometimes Makgeolli is a little more or a little bit less, but it seems like 6% is pretty standard. I feel like 7 years ago the standard was 8%, but I think even back then I did see the 6% stuff, and they brought soju alcohol down. They very likely brought down the Makgeolli alcohol percentage as well. But with this one, it'd be a little bit tougher to do and keep the same flavor or whatever, because with the soju, it's fermented from rice, and then, it's fermented from rice, just like sake, just like beer is fermented from a grain, just like makgeolli is fermented from a grain. But then it's different because it goes through a distillation process. So it's fermented from rice for however long with whatever kind of yeast, or sweet potatoes or tapioca. And then after it's fermented, probably for about 2 weeks, then it goes to a distillation process and it's distilled to, I hear different numbers different times, but like 30 something, 40% is I think the normal for companies to distill their soju to. And then they water it down to, I guess now 16.5, 16.9%. It used to be that they would water it down to about 20%, so they didn't water it down as much. With this, they'd have to ferment it for less time, or try to get less sugar in it, or put put less yeast in it or something like that and tweak it in that way to get less alcohol in it. They could maybe ferment it for less time, but then there'd be, if they didn't change the recipe, then there'd be more yeast left in there that wasn't, or sorry, the yeast and sugar ratio would be different. There could be, if they don't ferment it as long, there could be more active yeast in there and more sugar in there. So then you could have an issue of bottles exploding because there'd be more yeast in there and eating the higher amount of sugar and creating gases, and they could explode. They are plastic bottles, so maybe that's not as much of an issue. Anyways, yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised with this one. It's a good one. Since 1928. That's actually very surprising. I've seen this one around before and I've had it before, but I don't remember seeing that it's been around since 1928. Uli Sul. Uli Sul. Okay, and then this one doesn't have instructions on it, at least not in a picture form, saying how to mix it or if you are supposed to mix it in general. This one has a picture on it saying, well, I don't know what it says, but it shows to turn it upside down and spin it around, and then turn it back around and open it. So you turn it upside down, spin it around just like I did before. I mean, a lot of times I shake it up like this. Honestly, with soju and makgeolli and a bunch of other stuff, Koreans have all kinds of different ways you're supposed to do it. You have to do it. And if you don't do that, then it's not going to be the same taste. It's not the right way. But honestly, you can shake it up however you want. Maybe don't be too vigorous with it because if you want to keep that carbonation in there. But also if you shake it up like crazy, then you have to watch it when you open it. I'm being careful whether I shake it up vigorously or not. Honestly, soju, doesn't matter if you shake it up or not, it tastes the same. Some people say if you shake it, somehow they're thinking it gets rid of the bad stuff from the bottom of the bottle. But if you shake it up, then it's just mixed up throughout the whole thing. It's not going to get rid of anything. If anything, it's going to make it worse. If that's your thinking, then it's going to get rid of the bad stuff. If you think that there's bad stuff in there and something happens with shaking it, then shaking it would be bad, not good. If you're thinking that way, which I don't think you need to worry about that, but if you're thinking that way, then do you think it's on the top of the bottle? If you think it's on the top of the bottle, then maybe pour out a little bit right when you open it to get rid of some of that. If you think it's on the bottom of the bottle, then don't drink the bottom of the bottle. Just like with yeast in the bottom of craft beers. Some people don't drink the last half an inch of that, so they don't get as much yeast in them, which yeast is not bad for you. It's good for you, but some people just don't like the taste. Or some people think it's bad for you. Anyways, obviously this is just my opinion, but yeah, I mean, soju, it doesn't matter. Makgeolli, shake it up how you want. Just be careful when you open it, and just depends on how much carbonation you want in it after you shake it up. Okay, this one, looks like it has some Chinese writing on it, and Korean. It says Makgeolli in Korean, but the other writing in Korean is hard to read because it's like that calligraphy stuff. And then I don't know Chinese. I think that's Chinese. It says Seul Jansu. Seul Jansu. Walmei Makgeolli. KoreaWine.co.kr. There's that Korea wine thing again. This is not wine. It's made from a grain. I'm sorry, as much as you can say it's wine as much as you want, but I've never heard a good reason why it was considered wine other than it's a good advertisement for it. It's a good marketing scheme from the Korean government. Okay, this is a good one as well. This one is more standard Makgeolli taste, like this one. This one I like a little bit more still. This one is good though. I feel like this one's thicker. Not thicker in a good way. This one was thicker, but kind of thicker in a good way, which is kind of weird to say. Because this one was like a nutty, rich, thick flavor. This one tastes a little thicker, like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, like the liquid's just thicker. There's more shaken up and mixed in with it. This one isn't watered down or anything, but this one doesn't seem as thick, and it has really good flavor. I was reading it earlier, I can't remember if I said it while I was reading it, but 6% alcohol, 1,000 milliliters. All three of these were, I want to say, it was like this. I think these two were about 1,800 won. This one was just a tear over 2,000, maybe like 2,050, something like that. So they were basically all the same price. This one's a little bit more liquid. This was 750. This is 750 milliliters, and this is 1,000 milliliters. That's good. And you will notice expiration date on these. The expiration date's usually nowhere near when you're drinking it. Makgeolli usually sells fast enough, especially if you get Makgeolli from a convenience store. If you get Makgeolli from a hole-in-the-wall grocery store out in the middle of some random neighborhood, then you might want to look at the expiration date. This one is 2022-04-15. And then in Korea they do the year, the month, and then the day. Then this one, 2022-04-29. So about the same. This one's 2022-04-25. So they're all within 14 days for the expiration date. Yeah, they're all 2022, and they're all April, and then within 14 days of each other. So that's kind of cool in a way. That's not that exciting, but it's nice. They were all from the same store, same convenience store. They were from the CU right across the street from me. Again, these were all three. All three are 6% alcohol. These are both 750 milliliters. This is 1,000 milliliters. This one looks like it's made from chestnuts or something like that. This has a nutty flavor to it. This one has a really weird grassy mixture of a grass and rice flavor. I'm not a big fan of this one. I probably won't buy this one again unless if I really want Makgeolli and I don't have another choice. This one was good as well. Again, it wasn't as good as this one. This one's probably my favorite. This one. But yeah, this one's good. And for the price, definitely good. I could definitely see buying this one. One thing my friends know that I like to do is if I get stuck on the subway where it shuts down and I have like a 2-hour walk back home, I'll take the walk. I'll do the walk instead of taking a taxi. Save 15-20 bucks easily. Take a 2-hour walk back. I mean, it's not always 15-20 bucks. It could be 10. Could be $10-15. I don't know. Let's just say it's 10 to be conservative. So $10 for a taxi, or buy a $1.50 bottle of Makgeolli, walk home, listen to some music, get some exercise, find some new places on the way home. I've found a lot of restaurants and bars walking from my house to random places or random places to my house, or bars to other bars. Like in Busan, I'll walk from one area past 2 subway stations, or 3 sometimes, to get to a different area. and I'll find random places on the way. Like yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday in Busan, I found a really cool rotisserie chicken restaurant, rotisserie chicken beer restaurant, and it was wood fired rotisserie chicken. That's one reason why it was kind of cool, because wood fired stuff. It was like a mixture of wood cooked and smoked, um, and they seemed to be doing it right. I used to work at Whole Foods, and I did rotisserie chickens there. They started them on the bottom and slowly rotated them up so that the newer stuff would be on the bottom and not dripping onto the older, more cooked chickens. Because you don't want new chickens on the top, old chickens on the bottom, and then even though it's an old chicken, it should be cooked all the way. There's fresh juices from uncooked chicken dripping onto it. That's not good. I get the idea that some people think, oh, put the new one on top, the old one on the bottom, so then it's slowly cooking on top, not getting dried out too much, getting to the bottom, and then when it gets to the bottom, it gets toasted because it's closer to the flames, and it gets toasted right at the end of the cooking, and you take it out, and it's not too dried out. I get that idea, but that's not good if you have raw chickens above it. If there's only one spit in there with your chicken, I could see starting it up top, cooking it slowly, getting up to temperature, and then bringing it down and toasting the outside so you get it nice and crispy, but you're not drying out the inside. Anyways, I got off on a tangent. Rotisserie chickens. Anyways, these are all three good. I think this one's the best. If you want a can for whatever reason, this one's a good one in a can. If you have any more questions, any other alcohol you want me to try, let me know. Have a good night.